force you to use a particular method. So I will present the method. I think it's easy to understand, but you may say, no, I have my own and I'm happy with it. That's fine. That's correct. It's, yes.
I'm not sure exactly, but I can see that if you were to multiply the denominator on the like x minus 3 times x, it should get you x squared minus 3x. So you'd have
correct. So here's our first step. We're going to factor all denominators. And move this term to the other side. So 2x over x minus 3. X minus 3 is already factored. There is nothing I can do to it. Of course, the same thing with x. Minus 6 over x. Minus, when we move a term from one side to the other, it only changes its sign. 18 divided by, and now I need the factored form of this. And now you tell me what is left on the other side.
0.
0.
Remember what I said before? If you omit the 0, you're not going to solve for anything. You're just going to factor. You're not going to get solutions. So if we're asked to solve an equation, you have to have the left-hand side, you have to have the equal symbol, and the right-hand side. Can anyone give us the denominator?
X times x minus 3.
Excellent. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so our next step now is state restrictions. This part is mandatory no matter which method you like to use here. What does that mean? What am I referring to when I say state restrictions?
X can't be 0.
Right, awesome. Indeed, x cannot be 0 and
X cannot be 3.
That's it. So what does this mean is, if at the end of the day, when I'm done with this problem, if I get x equals 0 or x equals 3, I'll have to come back and say, uh-oh, no way. In step 3, I recommend find the LCD, the least common denominator. So I draw a long fraction line, the equal symbol, and 0. Can anyone give us the least common denominator of x minus 3, x times x minus 3? It was perfect, but I couldn't hear it.
So I said x into parentheses x minus 3.
Great job, Zana. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Now, at this point, I asked myself, x minus 3 was multiplied by x to get x times x minus 3. Well, if I choose to multiply the denominator by x, I must multiply the numerator by x. This is just a reminder. Don't forget to multiply the numerator by x. Same thing, I have x. What did I multiply x by for the second fraction?
X minus 3.
Good. We have to do the same thing to the top. What about here? What do I multiply the top by?
1.
Exactly, or nothing. Great job. Good. So now can anyone give me the numerator, step by step?
Two x squared minus 6x plus 9.
Careful.
Minus 8.
Very good. Right? So negative 6 multiplied by x, negative 6 multiplied by negative 3. Is this okay? Everyone?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, cancel.
Good. So now we do simplify these two. Now we have two options. One option is to say a fraction, this is the fraction, whatever I have here, is or equals 0 if, let's say maybe Amin can tell us if what? A fraction is 0 if Amin, are you there? Amin, are you there? Okay, so can Noor tell us? A fraction is 0 if? Noor, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
To make it 0.
So a fraction is 0 when?
I know when it's 1. Yeah, I don't know when it's 0. I know when it's 1.
Okay, can anyone tell us then? Lake?
Sorry.
That's okay.
If it has 0 in the numerator, it's
Very good.
0, right?
If its numerator equals 0, of course. So a fraction a divided by b is 0 only if a is 0. What about a fraction that has b 0, the denominator? What is this fraction called?
It's undefined.
Very good. Undefined. That's the reason why we stated these restrictions. Because if x is 0 or x is 3, fractions will be undefined, and we don't have an equation to solve. Second possibility is a proportion. What does that mean? So I have on the left-hand side whatever at the top and whatever in the denominator. And I can write 0 over 1 because anything can be written over 1. 0, 7 over 1 is the same, 8 over 1 is the same, -3 over 1 is the same, 0 over 1 is, they're all the same. So what a proportion means is we can, or what we can do in a proportion is cross multiply. A times 1 equals b times 0. In this case is 0. So we get the exact same thing. If a fraction equals 0, the numerator is 0. So we can think in terms of a proportion as well. It doesn't really matter which one you use. You will get the same answer. So obviously I have to set 2x squared minus 6x equal to 0. Because when I cross multiply, if you want to cross multiply, or you say a fraction is 0 only when the top is 0. One or the other. This is just a refresher for you. So, okay, my page 4. Good. So 2x squared minus 6x equals 0. What do we do next, Savannah?
Would we take out the x's?
So you can, and this is what I highly recommend. There are two concepts that I would like you to remember forever. Factor, and the other concept is simplify. Always try to factor and simplify anything that you are given, so you can work on an equation or an expression or whatever. You make your life easier. So because I see that the 2 is a common factor, you can say x is a common factor, yes, but I cannot divide by x. We know that. What is the degree of this polynomial and how many solutions we have to find?
The degree is 2, so we have to find
two solutions. So first I will simplify, and that gives me x squared minus 3x equals 0. And at next step, yes, exactly what we just did a few minutes ago, we factored. So maybe Amanda would like to tell us what to factor.
At this point, you would pull out x, right?
Say it again.
At this point, you would pull out x,
Very good. What is left in parentheses?
x minus 3.
Very good. And the options are? Gabby, you want to give it a shot?
I don't know.
Okay, so it means that we have to review something important here. The product, so maybe you didn't understand this. So when you don't understand something, you have to let me know. So this is a zero product principle. Zero product principle. So that is, let's say A times B equals 0. I have to have a product, not a sum or division, etc., but a product equals 0. So there are two options. The first factor could be 0 or the second factor could be 0. If I have three factors, then three options. If the first factor is 0, I get this. If the second factor is 0, I get 4x plus 1 equals 0. I move 1, it becomes negative, and I divide by 4. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Gabby, can you follow this?
Yeah.
And the same thing here. I have 4x minus 1 equals 0. I move 1, it becomes positive, and I divide by 4. Is that better?
Yeah.
Good. So then what are the solutions in this case, you think?
Is it 1 over -3? I don't know. Sorry, you're doing like a different way of like factoring, so that's why it's like confusing.
The first factor could be 0 and we get 0. And if the second factor is 0, what do we get?
-3.
-3 minus 3 will not be 0. Remember, it's x minus 3 equals 0, and you have to move -3 to the other side.
So it's just x equals 3.
Excellent. Good. And now I have a huge question mark. And the reason is why?
Wouldn't there be no solutions?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we took our time and we stated restrictions, which are very important. Okay. So we are moving on. You're going to have to work on the other ones for Monday. So now let's look at graphing. We have all sorts of different functions here. Let me know which one you would like to pick.
Could we do E?
Let's do E. Good. So we have y equals the cube root of x and plus 4. When we're asked to graph a function, our very first thought is, can anyone tell us? Let's say, Haber, do you want to give it a shot?
I don't think I really know what to do with
That's
this.
okay. At least you are following. I am happy for that.
Find the intercepts.
That will be the next step.
Okay.
The domain is the most important step. We can't graph if we don't know where the function exists. So first we have to know where the function exists. It could be a restricted domain. So for example, if I go back to this is a function. All this is a function. What will be the domain of this function? Anything but?
X 0 or 0 and 3.
That's it. That's not a friendly function. So now I have to look here and identify the domain of this function. Can anyone give it a shot?
Would the domain for this just be any number?
Great job. Domain indeed is negative infinity and infinity. The question is why? So this is as if it's not existent. This is not going to give the domain. The domain is given only by x, and x is under the cube root. So we have two different situations with roots. When the index is an odd number, like 3, 5, 7, where the index is an even number. And you can say, how come these are different? Very different. When this is 3, 5, it cannot be less than 1. So it cannot be less than 2, actually. 0, 1 are not possible. So the indices start with 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. So if the index is odd, who answered about the domain?
I did.
Okay,
Dave.
thank you so much. Yes. The odd function has all real numbers. The odd index, the root with an odd index. This will always have domain all real numbers. I call this friendly. I don't have to worry about this function. It doesn't give me any headaches. But this one, it does. It does give me headaches. Why? What can I have here?
Only positive and 0.
That's it. So not only that under the even root I have to have positive or 0, but also the answer must be positive or 0. Always. So in our case, we have a very nice situation, very friendly. I will start by creating the table. You're going to see this table, and we're going to add to it many, many things. So as we discussed, domain all real numbers. Excellent. Thank you very much. And now the next step is to pick some numbers. I have to pick wise numbers, because if you say pick 5, I'm in trouble. Why am I in trouble with 5? I don't know what the cube root of 5 is. And I don't want to have to plot a decimal number. So the numbers should be wise, like 0, because the cube root of 0 is a very nice number. Like -1, because the cube root of -1 is a very nice number. Like, and can you give me 2 more?
Negative 81, negative 8, and positive 8.
That's it. Good, so let's plug in. So remember, the function is the cube root of x plus 4. So please plug in -8 and tell me what you get. Okay, Shvam? Would you tell us?
I actually don't know.
So what is the cube root of -8?
That's maybe a 2.
-2. The cube root of -8 is -2, and -2 plus 4 is?
A 2.
Very good. Now with -1?
Just 1.
The cube root of -1 is -1. -1 plus 4 is?
3.
Good. With 0? That's the easiest.
It's a 4.
Very good. With 1?
5.
Yes. And with 8?
6.
6. Very good. We didn't get any negative values, so I don't
I
know.
had a question.
Please, any.
Okay, so how did you not get a negative? Like if you do 3.
Because I didn't go far
negative
enough.
8.
In a moment, I will explain that. I didn't go far enough to the left.
I'm actually asking about the -8. When you plugged it in, like the cubed root of -8, is that just +2 always? Like it's not going to be negative?
Very good question. The cube root of -8 is -2.
Yeah.
-2 plus 4 is 2.
Okay.
Of course, the cube root of a negative number will always be negative. But we have to
Yeah.
add plus 4. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just didn't see the positive negative part.
Okay, that's why I wrote it again here, because it should be focused for you to see it closer. Okay, so now, obviously, I did not get far enough to the left, but I do know that I'm hoping that in the past, you remember what it's called transformations. What's a transformation? So obviously, this is what we call the base function, the simplest cubic function, the simplest cube root function. And we know the graph of the cube root. We should remember it. So this is simply the cube root of x. But I don't have the cube root of x. I'd have the cube root of x plus 4. What does the plus 4 do to the original base function? What will it do?
Does it shift it
With
to the right